Hey, welcome back to the Cypress Sports Show, brought to you by Coach's Corner, your go-to spot before and after the game. I'm Jeff Russell, here with Mark Slevcove, as always. Today, we're going to welcome our new assistant principal, Joseph Boardwine, to the program. We'll get a quick update from Coach Crooks on our next opponent, Valencia, and we'll talk to some more athletes in our segment, How Well Do You Know? Coach, we're 3-0 now, 8-0 overall. We absolutely cannot look past Valencia as the next opponent, with the possibility of a league championship going on the next week with Cream. So it's kind of one of those like little trap games, right? Where you could potentially overlook somebody maybe not as good. Looking forward to that next game. We definitely don't want to do that. Last time our team went into the last week undefeated with a chance to have the last game as the deciding game. I don't remember that time. It's been a while.
Well, we've had a couple of them in recent memory. We are looking for our fourth league championship in a row, and go back to 2018. Valencia was 4-0. We played them in the last game of the year. We were 3-1, so we needed to beat them in an effort to share a league championship, and we lost a close game 14-13. The next year against Pacifica, those roles were reversed. We were 4-0. Pacifica was 3-1. They had to beat us to get a shared league championship, and we took care of business 42-14. So it does happen, but it's been a while since I think both teams have been 4-0 headed into the last game of the year.
Yeah, and this game being, the Valencia game, maybe they're down a little bit. How does our team make sure we don't overlook them as we're looking forward to Cream? We got to take care of business first against Valencia.
Well, you hear our coaches talk all the time. 1 week at a time, they're going to take care of this business. They didn't overlook Kennedy. Right, they didn't overlook Pacifica, and I don't think we'll overlook Valencia. Right, next week doesn't happen if we don't handle Valencia this week.
All right, Coach, what do we got for this week's update?
All right, our football team did continue its winning ways last week, defeating rival Kennedy 56-17. Aiden Houston had a big game. He threw for 248 yards and ran for 145. Matt Morrell is having a great league season. Had another great game. Caught 7 balls for 198 yards. 3 touchdowns, including 1 from running back Nathan Schneider. We take on Valencia, as you said, Thursday night in our senior night before finishing league up next week against Cream Lutheran. Girls volleyball won its 8th league championship in a row after going 10-0 in league play. CIF play begins this week in Division II. We're the 7th seeded team in D2, and we have a bye in the first round. So that's our benefit for winning league. We get a bye in the first round. We play in the second round on Saturday evening at Cypress against the winner of Ontario Christian and powerful San Clemente. In girls tennis, we resumed our match last week that was postponed after lightning. Last Tuesday, we were leading the match 7-5 going into the third round, and we ended up winning the match 10-8 to move into a tie for first place with Valencia. Both teams are 7-1 with 2 league contests to go this week. Boys water polo team defeated Kennedy last week 14-3 to run our record to 1-2 in league play with 2 games to go. Our league play is just a single round, so we're going to have to win the next 2 in order to make the playoffs in boys water polo. Cross country, boys and girls participated in the OC championships with most of the other schools in the county. Boys team finished 24th in the county. Ramon Rodriguez ran a 15:28. He was flying, which placed him 38th overall in the county. And the girls team finished 53rd in the county. So keep working hard, ladies. Girls golf won the Empire League Championship after defeating Valencia last week by 4 strokes, despite missing 2 starters. The freshman call-up stepped up to help our team to victory. This is our first league championship for the girls since 2011. So congrats to the girls and Coach Mitri on a successful season. This week we got 6 girls participating in the Empire League prelims. And hopefully they'll move on to the Empire League Finals on Wednesday as they try to qualify for CIF individuals.
Yeah, Coach Mitri coming in, first-year coach here for golf. I know she's getting a lot of help out there, but she's doing a great job organizing the girls, getting them on the same page, and really pushing them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's her moneymaker. Is she's a motivator for those girls, and they're buying into what she has to say.
Well, these last 2 weeks are huge, no doubt, for our team. Starting Thursday, of course, with Valencia, and the excitement of the fall season really high right now. Volleyball winning league, possibly football, tennis. I mean, how fun is that lunchtime rally going to be tomorrow? You lead the lunchtime rally. How great's that going to be?
Oh, the lunchtime rally's awesome. Kids out, the band's playing, cheerleaders are cheering. football team and all the other fall athletes will be out there hooting and hollering. Have a great time.
Yeah, let's get pumped up for the game tonight. Make sure that we're ready to go. And to get us kind of pumped up and get us ready, we're going to check in with Coach Crooks and see what he has to say on our opponent, Valencia. All right, we're here as always with Coach Crooks. Coach, we got Valencia this week. Historically, they've been a pretty good team. I know they're a little down this week. Who are the key guys for them offensively?
Well, they got a pair of brothers, the quarterback and receiver duo in the Ethan and the Draft brothers, and they do a great job of playing catch, and quarterback does a great job of running the ball, and they have a good running back and Jacob Terry who is able to make plays and do everything, and they're big and physical up front and O-line, and that's one thing that Coach Gray has over there at Valencia is they always have tough linemen in the trenches and stuff, and so it's going to be a battle for us.
Yeah, each year they do a good job with really fighting and battling in games. Defensively, they're always big and strong as well. What do they do defensively, and how are we going to attack them?
Defensively, they run about a 5-2 Okie, if you want to call it that, old school way, but they run a lot of man free. So, we have a lot of offensive weapons, so they have to prepare for them and stuff. And I wouldn't like to prepare for our offense. So it's good that we have those guys on our side, and they're going to have their hands full this week with them.
Coach, we got to stay focused, right? Last 2 games of the year before we get to the playoffs. What are you guys talking about in the meetings to keep our guys focused?
We're looking at just ourselves in the mirror. We're going back to basics this week. We're doing things that we want to do in the summertime because I think we're just getting away from things that are important to us. Those little things that we're not attention to detail. So we're going back to the basics, especially defensively. Get back to our old school, what we're known for and everything else. So we're trying to find our niche again and get back to that neck-down mentality.
All right, thanks, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
All right, well, thanks, Coach Crooks, for the info and insight on Valencia. We're looking forward to that game tonight. Before we get into it and talk to Mr. Boardwine, let's check in with some fall athletes in our Subs and Grubs segment, How Well Do You Know? And this week, it's How Well Do You Know Your Coach's Favorite One-Liner. Here's what they had to say.
All right, we're here with water polo player Nathan Burgos, junior golfer Catherine Gerving, girls tennis player Jessica Paul, big number 66 Hayden Frazier from the football team, cross country runner Alex McDevitt, volleyball player our setter Anaya Vialua. How well do you know Coach Park's one-liner? I'm going to start it and you finish it for us, Nathan. Hard work beats talent.
Defense wins championships.
Here with Jeff Park, boys water polo coach. What's your one-liner, coach?
Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't want to work hard.
Catherine, we want to know how well you know Coach Mitri's one-liners. Before you guys start a match, she brings everybody up, and she's going to tell you, play your game and...
have fun.
We're with Susan Mitri, our girls golf coach. Coach Mitri, before your girls go out for a match, what advice do you give them?
Play your own game and have fun.
So we want to know how well you know Coach Paul's one-liners. Should be easy. He's your tennis coach and your dad. All right, I'm going to start the line, and you finish it for us. All right, Coach Paul says, play the ball and...
I think mentally yourself.
All right, we're here with our girls and boys tennis coach, Joe Paul. What's your line, Coach?
Play the ball and nothing else.
Hayden, we want to know how well you know Coach Feldman's one-liners. Hey, if the team's at practice, you guys are lacking some hustle, you're lacking some effort, where's he going to tell you all to go?
He's going to say, sideline! Sideline!
Alex, we want to know how well you know Coach Tweed's lines. So when the team's ready to run and practice, you guys are warmed up, you're ready to go, what does he say?
No preguntas, vámonos!
All right, we're here with Coach Tweed, our cross-country coach. Coach Tweed, tell the kids what to do after they're warmed up.
No más preguntas, vámonos!
And now we have just a quick question for you on how well you know Coach Alex's lines. If the team is messing up in practice or a game, what may she tell you guys to do?
There's just one thing she says a lot, but I don't think I can really say it, so I'll just go with lock it up.
All right, lock it up, and let's go ahead and try. What else does she say?
She usually says, figure your out.
We're here with our girls volleyball coach, Alex Griffiths. Hey, Alex, when our team is struggling or off to a slow start, you got to call them up and get them going in the right direction. What do you usually tell them?
Lock it up.
Great stuff. Well, thanks to Subs and Grubs for sponsoring our segment, How Well Do You Know? Next week, we're going to catch up with some athletes and find out how well they know their league opponents. That obviously is going to be a good one. Well, today we're happy to welcome a new guest to the show, our new assistant principal to Cypress High School. His name is Joseph Boardwine, a former teacher, coach, and mentor. Welcome.
Hey, thanks so much, Russ, for having me.
JB, originally from Cleveland, Ohio, a 98 graduate of Kent State University.
Right. Golden Flashes.
Yeah. You've taught AP economics in the past, coached obviously in high school and college. What did you love most about that time in your career?
I think the coolest thing was I just got really hooked on watching somebody change and grow. So like watching a young person change and grow. And that was the thing I loved the most about it. So taking someone, let's say it's like 15 years old, they have some idea what they want to do with their life, but they're not sure about everything. And then it's crazy the amount of progress that person can make in like 24 months. So by 17 years old and they're maybe a junior or senior, it's like they're on a whole new trajectory. Their grades are better, their athletic performance is through the roof, they're like getting it done. In and out of the classroom, and their character can really change a lot. And so that was super cool for me as a teacher and as a coach. I just got totally hooked on that experience, watching somebody change. And so that became like the mission, trying to help people become the best version of themselves at that age. It was really fun.
Yeah, high school is pretty formative years, of course. The change physically, emotionally that kids go through is pretty impressive.
100%.
Growing up in Ohio, how'd you get into sports as a young man, and especially wrestling?
My dad's from the Appalachian Mountains, so he's like son of a coal miner, like you see in movies. So no heat, no running water, just dirt poor. And he hitchhiked to Cleveland and got a steel gig. And he got a job working in a steel mill. And at that point, that was a lot more money than he had seen in West Virginia. And he was able to actually have enough money to buy a car and like get a real house and have kids that go to the doctor and these kinds of things. So then he started to look around and say, whoop, he's reading the Cleveland Plain Dealer. What should I have my kids do? They should be in sports so they can like learn other parts of life. So he was into boxing because he just loved to watch it. So one day I hear my mom and dad are arguing. He wants to put us in boxing and mom's totally overprotective. She's like, no, they're going to get killed. And then he convinces her to put us in wrestling because it's safer. And that's how we wound up in wrestling. So I played other sports too, but that was the one that for whatever reason I loved the most and I had the most potential at.
Now you kind of mentioned some of this, growing a little bit as a person, growing spiritually in school. How did sports help you and others grow as people? And then how can a high school athlete here today learn to grow in both those areas?
Yeah, everybody has their own beliefs, but I think that like the spiritual part of your life is hard to describe, but it's something that I think we know is there. We just don't know how to describe it sometimes. And so it's like, for me, that's a big foundation of my life. It's what things are built on. When everything else might disappear or you don't know what to do, you have to reach down somewhere to figure out what it is that you're about. And that's kind of the, where that comes in. And that was something I was both taught by my parents and then pursued on my own. And I think sports in a similar way can help somebody form like a philosophy that helps guide them through life. So if you learn, let's say, a strong work ethic in sports because it's required to become successful, then you can apply that strong work ethic. It's now who you are. It's not just something you're doing. It's who you are, and then you say, well, I'm a hard worker. So then when you get that first job opportunity and you approach it, you're like, I'm going to do this hard. I'm a hard worker. It's who I am. And in that way, I think sports can really start to transform your life. That's probably the long-term benefit of it.
So you started coaching. How do you say it? Cuyahoga?
Yeah, Cuyahoga.
Yeah. 1998. You coached for 8 years in high school before finishing up at Walsh Jesuit, and then coaching Division I level at Campbell University. With that high school experience, that college experience, what should our athletes know about the recruiting process for those that want to play beyond high school?
Yeah. There's a lot I could say, but to try to summarize it, number one, you have to love your sport. And you have to plan to compete in your sport long term. So I think it's a mistake for someone to set a goal to just get a scholarship, because then you have to fulfill that scholarship. In other words, you have to be doing this in your 20s. And as much as you think you're going to just do it based on hype and I'll do it for the scholarship and the money. It really isn't about that. You got to be wanting to do this because it's what you want to do with your time. It's very busy being a college athlete, and so you want to make sure that you have that love for it, that you're willing to train year-round, that you're willing to travel, that you're willing to compete for a long time, because you got all the high school and 4 or 5 years of college. So they should know that. Also, they should know that when they're going to be recruited, that a college coach is going to look for some key things in this person. Number one, they're going to look for like proven performance nationally. As much as people think that a college coach will recruit based on potential, like they could become this, a lot of times they don't. They're looking for, because they have the whole country to choose from, internationally even now. They're looking for someone that has proven that they're at a high level nationally. So how do you prove that? You need to have head-to-head wins over people in sports where that's appropriate, or scores, times, let's say swimming, where it can be proven that you are at that level. Or in football, there are numbers, maybe if we're talking about potential, you have numbers that are exceptional. Speed, power, that's like
measurables, things
measurable.
That coaches can see.
Can't just be hype. Can't be, I'm here to work hard. Yeah. That's good. You can walk on with that. And that's a good thing to have. Work ethic is fantastic to have. But that's how you initially stand out. Then a college coach will look at thing number 2. You know what it is? They'll call the school, they'll get your transcript, okay? Now the transcript, they're looking for what they want to see. Is there anything that would make this person a problem for our program? And if there's anything that is not good, they don't call that person. So you may not even know that a college coach is looking at you from a talent standpoint, but then they saw something that didn't work from a behavioral standpoint. And then they're going to look at your academic piece and making sure all the academics are okay. So if the character and the academics line up, then you're going to get a phone call. So that's really the way that you want to think about it. So it's a lot of hard work, but if you love your sport, it's fun.
So you talked about that love, you talked about some of the commitment, the time, the transcripts, those things. Are there other traits that you see in high school athletes that has translated? Like you said, this trait, when I identified this trait, that really translated to their success in college. Is there a one trait that can help translate that success?
It's going to sound crazy, but I think being willing to lose, like being willing to go to the high levels and lose, as long as it takes, while continuing to work hard and stay motivated through the process until you can become, at that elite level. And I mean, there's a few freaks out there that can do it immediately, but most of us aren't in that spot. We're going to have to go to those high-level events and lose and accept it, and then figure out why, and then improve your game and try again, and repeat, and try again, repeat, and try again. Those are the people that can become really special.
Yeah, those failures on the road to success are big in determining that person.
Absolutely, and it hurts to lose. We don't like it. Our parents hate it. We don't like it. But it's something that's necessary in order for us to reach our potential.
Test your will, test your character, persistence.
100%. When I was a college coach as a recruiter, sometimes I would look at a particular athlete and it would be someone in a tough loss that you find out more about, and you're like, who is that kid exactly? And you look into their background, it's like, oh, they're a straight A student. You're like, okay. They're an amazing person. And wow, they just lost a nail biter to like a nationally known person. And on top of it, they have all these other, positive attributes. And then you go see them again, and they're always in the mix. And because that's the kind of person. Division I, all the divisions really, but it is a grind, and you're going to have someone that can approach their sport in like a professional manner, really kind of professionally. And that means being willing to come in and day out and test yourself, and being able to accept wins and losses like a pro. And you only learn that through doing it. It's the only way to learn it.
All right, let's talk about when you left coaching and you went to work for Morgan Stanley in the private business world. What were some of the things that you learned in athletics that translated to success in the business world?
One of the cool things is there's a lot of former athletes in business and like all throughout the private sector. It's pretty cool, and it's one of the things that's talked about. Like sometimes in a 30-minute meeting, you'll be talking about athletic experiences or competitive experiences, for maybe like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and then you get into the business stuff. So I learned that work ethic that's required in athletics to be a champion and is required in other pursuits. Let's say you want to be a superstar or songwriter, you want to be a superstar theater star. That type of work ethic is the same thing that's being applied in the business world. So if you want to go with those characters, you want to compete with them, and business is competition, you have to be willing to dedicate that same level of intensity that you brought into your sport into business, because that's what they're bringing. They're up early, drinking coffee. They're at work early on what's called Lombardi time. It means you're early. You know what I mean?
If you're early, you're on time.
Yeah,
if
if
you're
work
on time,
starts
you're
at
late.
8,
Yeah.
the best, they don't have somebody at 8:01 checking to see if they're there. They're there at 7:30, basically warming up, getting ready to go, because they're not being forced to do it. They love doing it. So that's kind of what I experienced. Great experience. Yeah.
So now you've done that. You were a Brazilian jiu-jitsu 3-time world champ in the masters category level, I guess.
Yeah.
You've run Boardwine grappling, still do in Long Beach.
Yeah.
Now in charge of athletics here. So athletics has always been a part of your life.
Yeah.
If you could tell our current athletes anything about their time in high school sports, right? Their time is right now. If you could tell them anything about that time from your perspective, what words of wisdom would you give them?
I don't want to say too much, but work harder, do more, compete more, have fun. Work harder, compete more, have fun. I think one of the things that young athletes wrestle with is, should I really go for it? Because if I don't totally commit myself, then it won't hurt so bad. If I lose, I can say, I'm not that into it. I think they're almost afraid to really commit because they don't want to feel that sting of loss. But what I'm here to probably say is that it's more fun to really go for it. It's what you talk about when you're older. Nobody really talks about the season they had where they were like, remember that year where we didn't do much and kind of had like an average year and kind of blew off some practices and listened some. Nobody ever talks about that. What you really remember and talk about, the moments you remember, are like those special years where you kind of just threw caution to the wind. You did extra workouts that coach didn't make you do. You came early, you stayed late. Coach challenged you to do 50 push-ups after practice. You did 51 just to prove that you could. And I think if they start to take that approach, they'll have even more fun than they're having now, and competing more and not being afraid to compete at a high level, not being afraid to lose. You don't have to like it, but not being afraid to lose. That would be some of the tips I would give our athletes.
So now you, in coaching those things, obviously trying to get that point across. And I heard when you started coaching, you coached a champion. His name was Andy Vogel.
Yeah.
Do you remember him?
Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, I reached out to him and actually talked to him
wow.
about you a little bit, get some inside info and your impact on him. And he said you were fresh out of college, basically. You would kick his butt every day, that work ethic, that you would be there, and you really made a difference in him being a champion. And I think that says a lot, right? When anytime a former athlete says you made a difference in that life and him being a champion, that was really cool for me to hear and sharing that with you now.
Yeah,
how hard was it to come in fresh like that? When you're a first-year guy, you're coming in fresh, you coach him for 1 year. How hard is that to make a connection like you did with Andy? Because people do that in the real world all the time. You're coming in, you're the new guy. How do you make those connections with people?
What I tried to do, I was a young coach. I was right out of college. I tried to get to know him really well and what motivated him, what he seemed to need to be pushed, I guess, and to be properly motivated. And I tried to, I think, personalize my approach with him and make it a little bit different than some of my other students. And I, at the same time, having a plan for everybody. So I had an overall plan for the program and for the individual athletes, but it sounds like almost creepy, but you study the person. You try to figure out what it is that they're going to need to reach their potential. So with Andy, he was super analytical. He's a head college coach now, been very successful, very smart. He was a very cerebral competitor. So he was the kind of person that needed to remain calm before. These are basically fights that you're going on. So he needed someone to help him remain calm, come up with a good game plan. He hated weightlifting, hated strength training. He was a person that liked to drill and do technique. So we made him stronger, even though he didn't like it. And he agreed to do that, so we improved his performance there. And I think at the time our team was a team that wasn't normally associated with being high level. And so I worked on his mind also. And just getting him in situations with those top competitors. He went to all the top tournaments in the country where he could test himself against the best people in the country. And that's what proved to him that he was at that level. So when the state tournament came, he knew he was ready. He had taken some losses, but he had been at that high level against people that were getting Division I rides all over. He knew he was right there. So when the state tournament came, he was able to go ahead and execute and do a great job. Yeah.
So Russ told me that Andy also said he respected you because you showed up in an old car. You had no money.
Totally
put
true.
in the time and commitment, and you could have been doing other things making money. So obviously he learned a lot about you, about commitment, and certainly
Yeah.
you talked about work ethic in these minutes here.
Yeah.
What can our athletes learn from you and Andy in terms of commitment and how that leads to success?
Wow, those are great memories. Even as we sit here now, it's like they're nice memories.
What car were you driving?
It was a Chevy Cavalier. It ran on 2 cylinders, and the key was broken off in it. And so there's nothing worth stealing there, I can tell you that much. So I just left it that way and just started. So really anybody could just take it and go, you know. But yeah, those are good memories. I think what Andy saw in me is that I was, as a coach, I try to take the same approach that I'm explaining that you should as an athlete. And I would tell him, hey, if you want to be a state champ this year, we can do it this year. Like, we can get it done. It's just a matter of time. Like, if you want to put in more time than the other person, if you're that passionate about it, and he said he was, then it's just a matter of time. So I think he respected that. We would come in early and train in the morning. Nothing was forced. This is all just optional. And he was training in the morning, either lifting or doing technique, and then working hard at night. He was outworking everybody in his weight class. And I think what he learned from that is that if you want something bad enough, if you're willing to outwork your competition, you know, that's going to take you a really long way. And I think he saw that at that time in me as a coach. I never promised anyone how long I would coach. I just said, hey, for the amount of time I'm going to do it, I'm willing to do anything within the rules to help my athletes reach their goals. And then I would ask them, if you're willing to do the same, like we could make crazy things happen. And then try to get them excited about that possibility. With kind of the similar speech that we had earlier, like no one remembers the average times, they remember the special times. And pretty much every one of them to this day, sometimes I get people FaceTime me at their wedding or something, or at a friend's wedding, and they'll laugh at the stories, like the hard work, and they never regret it. Nobody regrets the workouts they did, the extra effort, the special additional effort they made to try to live up to their goals. Even if they didn't quite make it, they still look back on it fondly, like a very special time in their life. So that's really what it's about.
Well, very cool. This time in the program, we do some fast action. I mean, you've seen the program, some fast questions for you.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't overthink them. Just whatever comes to your mind, we'll roll from there.
Right on.
Favorite thing about Cypress High so far?
Students. Yeah. They're smart. And yeah, they take time to get to know you. It's cool.
Would you recommend going to a JC and playing right away, or go to a university, be on the team, but maybe not play so much?
Got to follow your heart and think about finances too.
Okay, you play the guitar, acoustic or electric?
I like acoustic. You can bring it to a campfire. I can plug my acoustic in too, so that's why I go with the acoustic electric.
All right. Favorite song to sing and play, maybe?
I'm a fan. I like to sing I like to perform bad singers. So like a Bob Dylan, a Willie Nelson. Good song, but a bad singer.
Is that just because you can emulate that easily?
Exactly. Or at least,
Exactly.
like I don't want to try to sing John Legend.
Right.
Okay, it's not going to sound like John Legend. But if I can sing Bob Dylan, they'll say that's pretty good. Because Bob can't sing.
Right.
Yeah.
Favorite wrestling move?
I like a good front headlock. Fake a shot, get their head down. It's like a half choke. You can you get around behind him, take the back, or you can kind of strangle him in there.
Have you ever heard of the lumbergo?
I have heard of it, but I need to see it live. I believe it's some type of cradle.
Yeah, so we don't have any counter yet for it until you see it.
I need to see it. I'm going to watch film on Lundy to make sure I don't get hit with it in the quad or something.
It sounds like we got that to be set up. Lumberg versus Boardwine at some point.
Yeah.
Same weight class? Same weight class?
Yeah. I mean, Lumberg's like a 120.
Lundy's going to have to cut down, or I can get bigger. We could do it the other way.
Favorite sports quote?
Ooh. Everyone wants to win, but it's those who are willing to prepare to win that get to experience victory.
Nice. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
Most memorable event in athletics in your career?
I think winning a state championship at the high school level, believe it or not, the first time, it might be the most memorable. Even though I've done stuff beyond that. There's something special about the high school level. Very special.
Nice. Well, Slevcove and I were going to push the table away and go at it, but instead we'll wrap it up. We'd like to thank Mr. Boardwine for being with us today. Get out to the football game tonight. Head over on Saturday. We'll announce the game time once we know that. Go to the volleyball game. Support them. You will need to buy a ticket. Everybody has to buy a ticket for all CIF events. So you have to buy one for the volleyball game. But definitely get out to those two events. Make sure you support them. Get over to Subs and Grubs for lunch. Then over to Coach's Corner before and after the game and celebrate with the team. We appreciate all you guys tuning in and watching. We'll see you next week.